Welcome to the story of how one step can change everything. Remember, you don't have to see the whole path. Just take that first step.
Have you ever felt frozen by fear? The kind of fear that whispers, "You're not ready yet?" We often imagine success as a giant leap, a dramatic moment that changes everything. But the truth is quieter, smaller, and often begins with just one simple step. This is the story of Arav, a young man who discovered how a single step can transform a life. It's not a fairy tale. It's a reflection, a reminder that every big journey starts small. Let's begin. Arav was 26 years old, living in a small apartment on the edge of a noisy city. He worked in a call center, the kind of job where days blend into each other. Every morning began with the same alarm, the same coffee, the same crowded bus. He didn't hate his job, but he didn't love it either. It paid the bills, nothing more. When he was younger, he dreamed of becoming a travel photographer. He wanted to capture the colors of the world, the smiles, the mountains, the stories hidden in ordinary places. But somewhere between responsibilities and routine, that dream slowly faded. Each night, he scrolled through social media, watching others live the life he once imagined. People hiking in distant lands, artists showing their work, friends starting businesses. And there he was, lying on his bed, thinking, maybe one day I'll try. But one day never came. One Sunday morning, Arav woke late. The sky outside was gray, and the air smelled like wet earth. He stood in front of the mirror brushing his teeth, staring at his tired eyes. "Is this it?" he whispered. "Is this all life will ever be?" For the first time, he didn't look away. He saw the weight of excuses, the heaviness of waiting. He realized that standing still was its own kind of failure, silent, invisible, but powerful. He sat on the edge of his bed and whispered, "I can't live like this anymore." Later that afternoon, Arav went out to clear his mind. He walked aimlessly through the streets until he reached a small park near the river. Children were playing, an old man was feeding pigeons, and somewhere a street musician strummed a guitar. Arav sat on a bench watching the world move. He noticed a woman taking photos of the sunset with an old camera. Something about that sight, the focus in her eyes, the way she knelt to frame the shot, stirred something inside him. He hesitated, then asked, "Excuse me, are you a professional photographer?" She smiled. "No, I'm just learning. But I try to take at least one picture every day. It keeps me alive." That simple line echoed in his mind. One picture every day. One small act. One consistent step. Before he left, she told him her name was Mira and said softly, "Don't wait to be perfect. Just start." That night, Arav couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Mira's words. Finally, around midnight, he opened his cupboard and found his old camera, dusty, forgotten. It felt heavier than he remembered. He cleaned the lens, charged the battery, and whispered, "Just one picture tomorrow." The next morning, he woke earlier than usual. The city was still quiet. He stepped out, camera in hand, and felt something new. Not confidence, but courage. He walked to the river where the morning sun painted gold on the water. He raised the camera and clicked. Click. A simple sound, but to him, it felt like thunder. That photograph wasn't perfect. The lighting was off, the focus slightly wrong. But it was proof that he had moved, that he had taken the first step. In the following days, Arav tried to take one photo every morning before work. Some days it felt easy, most days it didn't. He fought his inner voice that said, "What's the point? You'll never be good enough." There were mornings he almost gave up, but he remembered Mira's smile. He remembered the promise he made to himself to take just one picture. Weeks passed. The photos piled up. Trees, faces, reflections in puddles. Slowly, something changed. He began to notice beauty in places he used to ignore. The steam from tea stalls, the sparkle of rain on concrete, the wrinkled smiles of strangers. Arav realized he wasn't just taking photos, he was learning to see again. Every morning, Arav's feet found their way to the same path by the river. At first, folks looked at him curiously, a man taking pictures of trees, benches, and stray dogs. But soon, the park began to feel like an old friend. He started noticing more than just images. He noticed moments. The laughter of a boy chasing pigeons, the quiet kindness of a woman helping an old man cross the path, the soft rhythm of water flowing, steady, patient, unstoppable. He began sharing a few photos online. No filters, no hashtags, just stories. He wrote small captions, little reflections from his walks, like, "Today I learned that the sunrise doesn't wait for anyone. It just rises." Or, "Some paths lead to nowhere, but they still teach us how to walk." At first, no one noticed. But after a few weeks, people started commenting. "Beautiful words. This made my day. Your photos feel alive." One step had quietly become a journey. Then came the days of testing, the days every dreamer meets, days when everything feels heavy. One morning, it rained endlessly. The city flooded, buses stopped, and the sky turned cold and angry. Arav almost stayed in bed. He stared at the window, hearing the rain hammer on the glass, and thought, "Maybe I can skip today, just one day." But then he remembered how it all began. That one decision in front of the mirror, that whisper, "I can't live like this anymore." He got up, wrapped his camera in plastic, and stepped into the storm. His shoes soaked instantly. But when he reached the river, he saw something magical. A young boy running through the rain, arms open, laughing as though the world belonged to him. Arav lifted the camera and clicked. Click. The photo blurred slightly through the rain, but the emotion was pure joy. He smiled through the cold, realizing some of the most beautiful moments only reveal themselves when we step into discomfort. That day, his photo went viral. The next day, Arav woke to hundreds of notifications. People shared his photo with captions like, "Happiness is freedom," and "Dance in the rain." Among the comments was one from Mira, the woman he met at the park months ago. She wrote, "I'm proud of you, Arav. You took the step." Arav replied, "You gave me the courage to begin." They met again that weekend. This time, they talked for hours about dreams, fears, and how life changes when we stop waiting. Mira told him she had just started a small online gallery of local photographers and invited Erev to join. He hesitated, unsure if he was ready. But then he remembered his own rule. Don't wait to be perfect. Just start. So he said yes. That yes changed everything. 2 months later, the online gallery went live. Mira uploaded Erev's photos in a section titled Moments of Courage. Each picture had a short note written by him, honest reflections on small things. This is the tea stall where I learned patience. This is the bridge I crossed when I almost gave up. This is the boy who reminded me that joy doesn't need permission. People began sending messages, strangers from different countries, telling him his photos made them feel alive again. Some said they started drawing. Others said they finally applied for jobs they were scared to try. Erev realized something powerful. By taking one step for himself, he had unknowingly helped others take theirs. The circle of courage had begun to grow. A few weeks later, Erev received a call from his father. They hadn't spoken much lately. His father had always been practical. Find a stable job, settle down, stop dreaming. That evening, his father said softly, "I saw your photo in a newspaper today." Erev froze. "I didn't even know they published it," he said quietly. His father chuckled. "You've grown, son. You found something real." That moment filled Erev's heart with quiet tears. For years he had sought approval. Now he didn't need it, but receiving it meant the world.
A few months later, Arav received an unexpected email. It was from a small cultural center in the city. They had seen his online gallery and wanted to invite him to host a photo exhibition, his first real showcase. For a long time, he just stared at the screen. Him? An exhibition? The same Arav who once hid behind a desk answering customer calls? He almost said no. Doubt crept in again. You're not ready. People will laugh. You're not a real artist. But then he remembered that night he whispered in the mirror, "I can't live like this anymore." And how that whisper had led to one picture, one morning, one step. He took a deep breath and wrote back, "Yes, I would be honored." That single sentence carried the weight of every moment he had fought through. The night of the exhibition arrived. The room was softly lit, the walls lined with his photos. Moments of ordinary beauty, a wrinkled hand holding a cup of tea, the laughter of street children, a sunrise after rain. People moved slowly through the space, reading his notes. Some smiled, some stood silently, eyes moist. Arav stood in the corner, hands trembling slightly, not from fear, but from awe. He wasn't just showing photos. He was showing his journey, his change, his courage. Then, through the crowd, he saw Mira. She smiled, walked up to him, and whispered, "You see, Arav? All it took was one step." He laughed softly. "Yes," he said, "one step that never really stopped." The audience began to clap as the host announced his name. Arav walked to the stage, the light warm on his face. He looked at the crowd, strangers, friends, his father sitting in the front row. He spoke gently. "A few years ago, I was afraid to even try. I waited for the perfect time, the perfect version of myself. But life doesn't wait. It moves, one step at a time. The first step isn't about success. It's about courage. It's about saying, 'I'm ready to begin.'" The hall fell silent for a moment, then erupted in applause. Tears welled in his eyes. He had finally taken the step that once felt impossible, and it had carried him further than he ever imagined. After the event, Arav walked outside. The night was clear, the stars scattered like memories. He leaned on the railing of the same bridge where he once took his first photo. He looked down at the river, quiet, constant, flowing. He thought about how much it changed, not just his career, but his heart. He wasn't the same man who waited for life to happen. He was the man who walked towards it. He smiled and whispered to himself, "It was never about photography. It was about movement, about trusting that one step is enough to start the journey." He took one last photo that night, of the stars reflecting in the river below. He titled it, "The Power of One Step." Sometimes we wait too long for clarity, for confidence, for the perfect plan. But life doesn't reward waiting. It rewards movement. Every change you dream of, every goal, every new beginning, it all starts the same way, with one uncertain, trembling, brave step. Maybe your step is sending that message. Maybe it's starting that class. Maybe it's forgiving yourself and beginning again. Whatever it is, take it. Don't wait for tomorrow or next week or a sign from the sky. Because sometimes that one small action can become the turning point of your entire story. So the next time your heart whispers, "Maybe one day," answer it softly, "No, today." Thank you for listening to this story, The Power of One Step. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to SH English Conversations, where stories come alive and every word helps you grow in life and language. Remember, your next big chapter might begin with just one small step.